Okay, everybody can hear me? Remember that? Up. How about now? Okay, remember I'm deaf, so if you ask questions, I may not answer them, but I will be around later to deal with them. Okay, and before we begin, there's some matters left over from the last lecture on the Mayas. Ingrid Durstling mentioned the solstice equinox twice a year. In this particular pyramid, you see the snake here, and that of course is Quetzalcoatl, and you see the shadow and light of it, which represents the snake. That only happens twice a year at the equinox, okay? The point is, gives you the accuracy that these people had in not only astronomically, but also in transmitting this into architecture, okay? All right. Then there was the issue of arches. There were arches, of course, and we have, Jim, you might need to help me here. This is just 3 basic arches. There are many more types, you know, catenary and parabolic and so forth. But these are the basic ones that concern us. We have the corbel, the Roman, and then the equilateral triangle, the Gothic arch, okay? Why am I showing you this? Okay? You see right here, and you see here, okay? Clearly, these two are corbel arches. They're probably the weakest, not the probably, the weakest arch as far as load bearing is concerned, right, Jim? Yeah. Okay. They're also the simplest to build. I'm sorry, go ahead.
They are the simplest to build.
Correct, yeah, exactly. So what it is you go like a upside down stairs, and you just do a little bit, and then you get up there. But this is the cathedral at Burgos in Spain. It is the most classical of the Gothic cathedrals, okay? And the point I want to make here is you have a Gothic arch. It's a typical Gothic arch. In it, Jim, watch me now. In it, in the Roman arch, you have a circle, a section of a circle, and you put the weight, and it goes down with a keystone in the center. Well, you can do the same thing, except much more efficiently if you have an equilateral triangle here. Okay, this is an equilateral triangle. You don't see it right. This arch is some 30%, can have a load 30% higher than the Roman arch. That's what I read, okay?
Where is the equilateral triangle?
I'm sorry?
Where is the equilateral
Yeah,
triangle?
it doesn't show it, but it's right from here to here to here to there.
Oh,
Okay, so your weight is, but now you have a much more efficient way of distributing the weight, as I understand it, okay? All right, why am I showing you this? You see, the Mayas were working on this and came very, very close to duplicating, not duplicating, inventing the Gothic art. Look at this one. That's almost equilateral. So you go from here, then you start like this, so you begin to wonder. Unfortunately, they were into something pretty heavy, but they forgot about food. You gotta produce, so they disbanded before they got to the Gothic arch, okay? But they were very close, okay? That's my opinion. I don't know if that makes sense. We're gonna talk about food, though. And now my iconic Garfield. That's all he thinks about. And I put him together with Ku Klan, or Quetzalcoatl, the god of peace and happiness, well-being, and so on. I think they go together, okay? At least I'm sure that Garfield thinks so. Because we're going to talk now about crops grown by the Mayas, okay? Not necessarily developed, but they had them, okay? And we'll begin with avocado, followed by pineapple, papaya, and other things, okay? We're going to really have a fruit cocktail today. I'll show you, okay? If you look across the world, in this region, in the Central America, the Caribbean, and Mexico, it's quite a display of fruits that you see. But it's also in Asia and Southeast Asia, you have almost the equivalent. And there are fruits here that don't belong, were not there, they were brought there, and vice versa, the one I showed you before, fruits that came across. This illustrates the Columbian exchange. So we can make a real good fruit salad, that's what I'm saying. I have to give you a point of reference so that you'll be judging what I'm going to say, all right? And I chose apple, the apple, okay? So that's our referral point. It's, there you see it. You have the apples, apple tree, very beautiful flowering. Okay. Where did it come from? Well, it came from the area in the world between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, that is, in the Caucasus area. Both pears and apple came from there, and they went all over the world. We certainly have knowledge about apples. You see this? Well, there is evidence that perhaps humans have been having something to do with apple for several thousand years before Christ. Apple production illustrates it's all over the world, and it's quite a bit. China, number one, this is millions of tons a year produced. European Union, United States, and so forth. In everything that I will present it, I show you the nutritional value of it. So, apple is all over the world, at least in the temperate world. It has dietary fiber. It's not very high, but it's high enough, okay? You have all these vitamins, really a little bit of everything, but nothing outstanding, or nothing big. Bear me out. But keep this in mind when we enter into other fruits, okay? It does have phosphorus and potassium, significant amounts of it. Overall, it's okay, it's pleasant, and of course, we love it. We love it. Of course, you know what that is, all right? Can you pass it out? Okay. There are many versions of this, and you have the juices, the whatever. Apple is all over the world, here to stay, and has been with us a long time. Avocado, aguacate, okay. That is Persea americana. In all of what I'm showing today, except one fruit, they are from the Americas. And it will show you the impact that this Columbian exchange has had globally. All right. And avocado is a very good example. This particular guacamole. Guacamole now, I think there's no language in the world that doesn't have a word for guacamole. Everybody loves this stuff. Okay. See here the variability of avocados. Okay. There are elongated ones, there are round ones. Seeds progressively have become smaller and smaller, and we get, through breeding, we get more and more of what we eat, okay? There are three possible origins. People don't know this. There really was domesticated in Central America, the Guatemalan, which is the round, it's a round, typical round avocado. Then in southern Mexico to Maya land, somewhere in there, you have the pear-shaped, like you have over here. And then in the Caribbean, you have a very large one, green, very pronounced pear-shaped form. Mexico, as far as production, is the biggest producer in the world. Consumption is also the biggest in the world. But we're not far behind in consumption. The value of exports, this is in 1,000 tons. So this is very serious. I mean, this crop from this area in the Americas rules the world as far as this type of fruit. Make it a little more. There's Mexico, then you got the Dominican. This was 2017 and represent 1,000 tons. Okay. But it's something strange. Is that it's grown all over, but the area in Mexico and in the world where avocados are produced the most is in the state of Michoacán, which is right here. That's Mexico, right there. Okay, this is Michoacán. Michoacán accounts for 92% of Mexico's production and leads the world in avocado production. 106,000 hectares, 260,000 acres. Okay. That's what Michoacán looks like, and we're talking about this area here. Yeah.
Is that a topographical map?
I'm sorry?
Is that the previous one, is that a topographical map?
Yeah, it's a topo, yeah. Sorry. The area right between this valley-like thing and the mountains is the avocado belt. That's where it all comes out. And think about all just a little bitty area projecting all across the world. Typical orchard. The demand is so aggressive, I will show you, that it continues, there is no abating. It continues to grow almost exponentially, year after year. And in fact, I was reading one of my German ecology papers, and I found that out. I'm sorry that Ingrid is not here today, but what it says is, these guys, farmers there, that's the area, the valley-like thing, and they keep on planting this because the demand is so great. They're literally obliterating the ecology of the place and destroying. And again, money talks. It's a plant that is easy to, here's the translation, at least my translation, okay? Green gold with dark consequence. The growing demand for avocado is destroying forests in Mexico and polluting the environment. All right? Even though in this area, which is volcanic, they have, in my opinion, enough warning to know that things can happen. Look what happened to this church. A volcano came and goodbye church, okay? Well, look at them planting all around, right? Keep planting avocados, okay? Here, from 1962 to the present, like I said, it's really becoming exponential. More and more, and the more they have, the more they plant. They still have some land left, okay? I don't know about rabbits or deer or whatever there was there before. Don't look for them because I think they're finished in this area. Again, here is production, Mexico, 28% in the world. Everybody produces a little bit, but it is Mexico that dominates the market and production. Export, 46% of the export market in the world. And I repeat, it's just this little bitty area that controls this world production of avocados. Palm Springs, same thing. That's U.S. avocado consumption per capita from 1990 to 2015, and it has kept going up like that, okay? Now pay attention. Remember the apple. Remember the apple, okay? It's got fat, good fat, not bad fat, good fat. It's got potassium, huge, 20%. Okay, potassium makes us, facilitates the transmission, and it makes us feel good, cheery, and that sort of thing. Okay, so dietary fiber, 40%. Wow, very important. It slows down the passage of food through the intestines, okay, which makes it easy to absorb, okay? And it gives you a sense of being satisfied. That thing, protein. There was nothing like this in apple. There's no protein. Dietary fiber, okay. Vitamin C and iron and B6. If your propensity to diabetes and so on, you will have help from avocados. Okay. There it is, guacamole. Right? And you said this is a Mayan thing, this is an Aztec thing. Wrong, totally wrong. Because neither the Mayas nor the Aztec nor any Indian in the area could have made a guacamole. No? Oops. Well, the ingredients. You got cilantro, you got white onions, okay? This is, and of course I forgot garlic, and this is for West Central Asia. It's the origin, okay? Then you got lime, that's from Southeast Asia, okay? And then the rest of it, the avocados, from Mexico, a quintessential Colombian exchange. So I'll say they could know if guacamole was not invented by by the Mayas or the Aztecs, okay? But do we love it? All kinds of recipes and additions and changes that people make, but here it is, okay? Different dishes, and somewhat for avocado. So summary is very good as a fruit. It has very good nutrition, okay? It can be easily produced, okay? And Mexico rules the world in avocado, okay? Let's now go to the bromeliads. The bromeliads, the pineapple family, quintessential American product again, okay? Species. show you a display of them. You find them in the high Andes. You find bromeliads, gigantic ones. Look at that. That's the size of a man. Look at them. Okay. And also in the warm tropics. They're everywhere. And they can colonize anything. Many of them, our Spanish moths, are epiphytic. They take their nourishment from the air as it passes through. Well, I'll take it to Cuba now. I remember this thing here. We used it as a barrier, okay? Keep cattle and people and delimiting it, and we call him a rat pineapple. It's a rat pineapple. Look what this says. And this is the flowers, and that's the fruit, okay? And this is the mature fruit. No pineapple-like thing. These are individual flowers, and they develop, and that's the fruit you get. They are not cultivated. I have tasted them, not very impressive, but it is a fruit if you got nothing else, okay? Cannot give you the nutritional value. I don't know what it is. And of course we know what this is, quintessential for some sections of the South. It is the Spanish moth. In scientific terms, Tillandsia usneoides, okay? But further south, there's morphs, and there is another Tillandsia, which is recurved, recurvata, okay? And it causes a lot of headaches because it goes into cables, and that's how easy they reproduce. And this weight, okay, and sometimes you don't get your telephone or electricity because this thing collapses. So you have to be careful. The bromeliads know how to establish themselves, okay? That's the point. Pineapple itself originated in the area between southern Brazil and Paraguay. Okay. By the time the Europeans came, it had already moved all through the Amazon, Central America, and reached the Mayan area. So there was, it shows you that through the years, centuries, there was plenty of traffic on foodstuff going on. Columbus encountered it in 1493, second trip. The Spanish introduced it in the Philippines early on. And in the 1500s, the Spanish ship took it to Hawaii. The Portuguese took the fruit to Brazil, to India in 1550. So it's been with us a while. That is the area native range, okay? Probably in the southern part, right there. It is planted from suckers, that it produces suckers. It produces them at the ground level, or it could be an aerial one. It's just a miniature pineapple. It's miniature pineapple that it produces, and you can take it and you stick it on the ground, and it'll soon develop roots, and you're going. So you stick it there, it goes to there, then you get the flower. It's very beautiful, you know, and then you go to that, and you get a plantation. You get a plantation, pineapple plantation, okay? Mature, pick it up, and go. Many varieties. When something is being in human hands for that long, you begin to get selections and varieties and different forms. There are little bitty ones, there are big ones, and this is the wild pineapple. I haven't seen it or tasted, but they tell me there is no juice in that thing. It is nothing but fiber. Nobody knows why they decided to start working on it and develop a true pineapple. Nobody knows, but it happened. Okay. It can be produced in full sun, or it can be in the shade. Here in Australia, the eucalyptus trees, or in the greenhouse, or with coconuts in the Philippines. My point is, it's very adaptable. You can grow in many, either in full sun or in the shade, semi-shade. It will do it. There is a variety that will suit the environment. I'll go through. However, there are problems with it. This plant that you saw the thorns and spines, I call them, that it has, requires for its production a lot of labor. It's very labor intensive. And the laboring in pineapple fields can be very dangerous to your eyes, for example, or to other parts of the body. And also, since you have to carry this thing around, and they're heavy, it's quite a stressful type of job, and you have to be very careful. Okay, so this is just a summary. You have the field operations, you have pack house operations. You have all of these in red are human inputs in fertilizer, in pesticides that you have to use, to keep the pathogens and insects off the pineapple. So I emphasize they're incredibly difficult, okay? Are spiky, difficult, okay? Monoculture production requires no shade over the plants. But remember what I said before, when you go to monoculture, okay, away from the way it grows in the wild, then you invite parasites, you invite problems, You may degrade the soil too. So this is to show you a team working. It's a 24-hour. When that fruit is ready, it doesn't wait. You gotta get it out, you gotta get it to the pack house, you gotta process it and off to ship it. There you go. All right. This is just to emphasize what I just said. It's nice, it's accepted all over the world and so forth, but it is a difficult plant to produce and a dangerous one to do so. I have a friend in Puerto Rico that many years ago, we were commenting about problems they had, and they had one-eyed people and people that were hurt working in pineapple plantations. And he told me, he said, Rod, we were then very young. He said, he was a geneticist, a plant breeder. He said, I'm going to dedicate my life to clean up the pineapple, get rid of all this spikes and things, and he did. And we have now several varieties that are smooth, okay? You still have the spiky end, but at least you don't have the problem we have with the old pineapples, okay? So he succeeded. Here you see the production in metric tons to almost 3 million. This is worldwide, Brazil, Philippines, all the way to the Dominican Republic. Okay? Unlike avocado, pineapple is very adaptable. It grew from southern Brazil, okay, to Paraguay in that area all the way quickly relatively quickly to Yucatan and southern Mexico, the Caribbean. Here's a map.
Is it still grown in Hawaii?
I'm sorry? No. No. It's a victim of a lot of things, okay? Here's the production, a little better. Brazil, the Philippines, Colombia, they all control some level of the world market. It's not like avocados. This one is a little better distributed as far as marketing is concerned. An interesting comment here, I'm not supposed to say much about politics, but I'm talking about pineapples. Okay? Time it was, and not too long ago, at least for me, okay, that the Côte d'Ivoire was one of the major pineapple producers in the world. Okay? They were, at that time, they had a dictator, Houphouët-Boigny, which is actually controlled by the French anyway. Well, they got rid of the dictator, they got into a proper government and so on, and look what happened. Okay. My friends in Costa Rica said, oh really, that's very nice. So look what happened, okay? So there is competition in the world. The import market, okay? Colombian exchange, okay? Now look at it. This is from one fruit, okay? Potassium, huge. It's going to make you feel good, okay? Dietary fiber, it's going to make you feel, okay, satisfied.
Is that sucrose or fructose?
Oh, that one is both. It has glucose and fructose, okay? Not sucrose, okay? You have vitamin C, vitamin B6 again, and magnesium. Go back to your apple. Apple is clearly not in the same league, okay?
Hey, Rod,
Yeah,
before you leave pineapple,
I'm sorry.
talking about different words last week, and the word for pineapple in Portuguese is different from Spanish.
Yes, abacaxi,
Abacaxi in Portuguese comes from an Indian Tupi word.
correct.
And in Portuguese, if you say something is an abacaxi, it means you have a very difficult problem. You know, the pineapple has all those
Yeah.
things on the outside, it's hard to get.
Yeah,
So we will say a knotty problem over here. They'll say, well, it's just an abacaxi.
abacaxi, that's good. Well, that's the way you feel when you eat the thing. Okay, don't worry about it. But anyway, continuing with our cocktail, fruit cocktail, we have papaya or pawpaw, okay. All right. Its origin is from southern Mexico and neighboring Central America. Here's the fruit, there's the tree, okay. It's sparsely branched. Rarely do you see it branch, and it's just one stem. And in this stem, I'll show you. In this stem, you see the scars where the leaves were. But look at the production. Look at the production. It is just an incredible producer. Relatively easy to produce if you mind the pathogens, particularly nematode problems that he has. So you must have what we call a cropping system to keep the enemies in line. Also, production, usually, you can grow it for many, many years, but the production starts coming down. Usually about 6 to 8 years is all you, and then you pull it out and begin the cycle again with something else, okay? Let's just illustrate. Look at this one. This is a dwarf one. You don't want a tall one because you got to get this fruit, okay? So you want, dwarfing is important. Keep the production as high as you can, and so that it would be, contrary to pineapple, there are no problems here though, with spikes, spines, or anything. It's an easy plant. Planted from seed, go to there, there's the leaf. Flower, kind of inconspicuous. There are male and female flowers, okay? The male flowers produce nothing. Sometimes they make a papaya-like thing, but it's really inedible, okay? The male is not really needed, okay? So it can go on producing without males. Male flowers, female flowers, okay? Unwrapped. It's a berry. Botanically speaking, it's a berry. And it's got, all of this can be eaten, including the seed. It contains latex, you know, when you scrape. But latex, that latex is good for softening your skin, okay? Because it has papain, which is an enzyme that is good cosmetically. Green papaya fruit and the plant like rich in papaya, it's a protease, and I just explained you how useful that can be. As it matures, it begins to produce isothiocyanates, which are good for you. They're really good for you. They give you a measure of protection against certain parasites and so forth. So that is useful. The seeds, however, you most roast them because they do produce cyanide. So you don't want to have anything to do with that. Ripe fruit or the green fruit can be high amount of pectins. You can make jellies, okay? The black seeds are edible and have a sharp, I wouldn't say they are edible. They could get you in trouble. The seeds are sometimes roasted and ground, and then you use them like peppers, okay? That's your juice. Your jellies. And here's a variety I just chose from around the world. Here you got a Filipino dish, and they use green papayas. A Thai dish, also green papayas. Here in Japanese, they use the leaves and they stuff them with anchovies. And our friends in Bangladesh make sukto. I don't know what that is, but it was, I found it. So it's a variety of culinary things you can do besides eating the fruit directly. There was 13.1 million tons produced, led by India with 44%, okay, of the production. The global papaya grew over the early 21st century, mainly as of increased production in India and demand by the United States. Okay. Here's what the distribution throughout the world looks like. And I repeat, this thing can be planted anywhere, as long as you have a tropical to temperate climate. You can produce it. There's no problem as far as uh, the plant causing damage to workers or anything like that. Okay. Production from 2000 to 2016 is growing and it keeps growing, and new products are developed. Well, skip that, you can see it. Breakdown by countries, production, India, Brazil, Mexico, so the world, as I said, about 13. Nutrition. Dietary fiber, okay. Not as great as pineapple, but significant. A1, vitamin A1, vitamin C. And a little bit, but significant, profile of the various vitamins. C, it has lycopene. Everybody says, well, you know, tomatoes is lycopene. Yeah, but papaya also has a lot of lycopenes. You don't see it, but it is there. Well, look, I'm in Alabama, okay? I'm in Alabama. What are you telling me about papayas in Alabama? So I'm going to tell you something. There is a cold weather papaya. Not freezing weather, cold weather papaya, and that's called babaco. And it looks like papaya, but it has kind of a little different shape. It's grown in Spain, you know. It also came from the Americas. All right. It can grow at high altitudes, over 2,000 meters, okay? And it's the most cold-tolerant plant in this particular group of plants, okay? So we could grow it here, all right? I grew it here, okay, on the greenhouse protector. So this is an opportunity. It has no male flowers, so that's great. That means you don't have to bother with the seed. You can split it open and start eating. The flowers are a little different. I think they're a little more conspicuous and really pretty compared to the papaya. You see? Yeah. Like papaya, taking into account the fact that he does not, this guy does not like the tropical, heavy, high temperature type of environment. This is more of a temperate to cold, all right? But within that, you can grow it, and you can have your dwarf ones too. $38 to 100 fruits, okay? You harvest when it turns yellow, okay? Warm, humid climate, perfect drainage. Okay.
How long did it,
I'm sorry?
never mind, number 5 up there.
As far as the cycle of production, oh, how old it is?
No, number 5 up there answered the question I was going to ask.
About 8 years. 8 years. And then probably lasts longer, but then usually because of the problems that they develop, then the yields start going down, so it's time to get rid of them. Okay. Here's a guy eating, or a woman eating. You have left. You go in the web, you can get it. It's available, okay? You do this, okay?
Is that star fruit?
I'm sorry?
Is that also called star fruit?
They call it that too, but it's a misnomer, because you'll see why later, because There are many things called starter fruit, okay, so that's kind of confusing. Ice cream, sherbet, whatever. Okay, here's a chutney. I put it, it's in the handout, okay? If you want to make babako, you can make chutney with it. Or syrup, okay. Okay. Compared to papaya, it's not as good nutritionally. It does have potassium, plenty, but the rest of it compared to papaya, not compared to apple. It beats apple easily, but compared to the pineapple and papaya, it's not as good. So now we are going to get into weird stuff. This is weird, okay? One of the first things that the Columbus crowd and the rest that came after noticed was that there were these trees or bushes that were filled with this very round spherical fruit, and that the natives loved it. And when they tried it, they also loved it, okay? And that is kaimito, Chrysophyllum kaimito. Remember what I said about scientists? Chrysophyllum tells you that it has something of gold in it. See if I can show you now. Yeah, right here. You see, I don't know if you can see a gold color. The upper part is green and shiny. The lower part of the leaf, Chrysophyllum, is golden color, quite pretty. Okay. The fruit now, star fruit. And some people call them star apples. I prefer to call it kaimito, which is the indigenous term. And it can be green, or it can be purplish, as you see, green or purplish. But when you cut them, you will see this. Normally, you eat this at breakfast, okay? Production is the tropics. This is really a hot, I mean, it really requires high temperature, tropical type, humid, environment. That's a kaimito, okay? Watch out now. Sorry. Fiber. You got calcium and phosphorus. Really a pretty good profile. And this is only 100 grams, okay? So it's a percent, okay? Lots of ascorbic acid. Magnolialis, okay? Magnolia. We're gonna get to the magnolias now, okay? I told you, this is all from the Americas. There is nothing like this in the rest of the world. Now, yes, but before Columbus, no, okay? So, talking about custard apple family. Custard apple, cherry moya, atamoya, soursop, and those are the ones I wanted to list, but there are more, okay? They're quintessential American. Not only that, we have to start right here in the southeast, okay? Because we have what they call pawpaw, okay? That's Asimina triloba. From central Alabama north and going all the way to Ohio, there is this tree. It is in the Magnoliales. Here is in the natural environment, subcanopy. I think it's a very elegant looking tree, and it is produced commercially further north, okay? This is what the fruit looks like. Here's the range, okay? When you split it open, unripe, you have the seeds like there, okay? When it ripens, become yellow and very aromatic. and very nice, almost perfumey taste to it, okay? The problem that we have with it in the woods is possum. The possums love it, okay? So you really have to be, attuned on when it's becoming, because the possums will come and eat it and leave you nothing, okay? All right. Here are the flowers. Okay. Look at the profile, protein, a little bit of fiber. Vitamin C, yes, a lot of it, but really not outstanding, but certainly better than apple, okay? Manganese, magnesium, iron, outstanding there. And I put this on because this is happening. Climate change, okay? So it gets warm and this guy's I used to grow pears and apples, and look what happened now. In the temperature has risen, my pears and apples are not doing so good, so he changed to this, and he was very happy with it. So, custard apple. Again, this is the range, okay? Show you the flowers. I said magnolialis. You know the fruit in the magnolia? Does that not remind you of it? See? Put it like that, okay? So you have all these individual flowers in there. Just like you see in the magnolia, you see the little red seed coming out. All right. It's worldwide. Again, it's easy to plant in the open and produce it in plantation style systems. The seeds, remember the color of the pawpaw? Same thing, same color. It's very, very nice, really. And you do a lot of, I could eat this thing forever, and never get tired of it. Potassium, wow. Fiber, protein, 6%, B6. So, and I cannot leave this group without mentioning the durian tree. Okay, if you ever come across to eat it, pinch your nose and eat, then put it inside your mouth and close it immediately. It's the stinkiest thing that you ever could dream of, as far as it's bad. Okay, it's from Southeast Asia again. Okay. This is a Brazilian, Brazil produces quite a bit of it, so this is a Brazilian picture that I took. Okay. And it came from this area. You cut it open. Like I said, mind the smell, because it'll start smelling. And even before you cut it, you have this situation. That is what you eat. Okay. It stinks, but people love it. And in some places, hotels and so on, they actually have this sign. No durians. Don't come in here if you ate that thing, because it'll stink up the place. So they actually have, in public, they got a sign, no durians in here, okay? All right. Dietary fiber, look, vitamin C, calcium. We come now to another family, and that's called the Sapotacea. Sapotacea. And this is mamey. Mamey. Zapotes, Pistre, Cuba, Central America, naturally ranging from Cuba to southern Costa Rica. It's kind of a Caribbean type thing. This one again, like Caimito, you need hot weather. This is a humid tropic plant, okay? When you cut it, okay, you have this shiny seed. Here are the flowers. This is what the tree looks like. These can be very large, and there are varieties, you know, small and long and so forth in it. Is, in my opinion, if you have to think of a fruit that was the original fruit available to the indigenous people of the area, it would be this one. Early on. And I'm talking thousands of years before Christ, okay, or the Common Era. Okay. You see them in the market, they cut them up for effect like that, because it's quite striking, the color and the looks of it. The tree is kind of short. It doesn't grow very tall, it's kind of short. Look at the size of this particular variety. You have things to choose, okay? This is a native range, okay? In Australia, they planted it, they loved it, they have the climate for it. So they call it an exotic, it's an exotic range. The Australians took it there. And it goes all the way. Here is a map by my friends in Mexico, and it was a detailed map on the suitability of various areas within the Central America, southern Mexico, for production of this fruit, because it's very, very profitable. Now, this is going to shock you. Look at that. Potassium. 72% of your daily needs are satisfied. Okay? And you're talking in terms of one fruit. Okay? Dietary fiber, 120%. You eat it and you're going to feel good. You know, you had a good meal. Okay? Protein, 16%. Okay. Vitamins, 200%.
Nobody would eat that much at one time.
No, not that one. No. In fact, kind of the medium size one, you will have to work at it. Okay. This is the perfect fruit. It really is. Excuse me. All kinds of things, and ice creams and sherbets and all kinds of things are made from it. It's relatively free of problems as far as having fungi or nematodes and so on attacking it. That doesn't happen. So it's not, it does take some time to develop, so you have to wait 4 or 5 years before you start getting anything. The seed has oil. It's called sapote oil. And almond-like odor. The seeds, don't eat them directly. They are toxic. But the oil extracted from them is very useful in cosmetic as a base, aromatherapy and all that. You know, it's nice to smell, okay? This is another Sapotacea, and I go quickly in this one because it really hasn't caught on as much as the others, okay? It's called lucuma. This is, it's kind of nice looking in the tree. There's the tree. It's more like a big bush. Okay. The flowers, see over here, and then the fruit. Here's the tree, maturing. Okay. Turns out the Moche people in the Peruvian coast love this tree. Okay, they love this tree. So I mention that because it has had human association for a long time. Here is what we think was a Moche ceramic representing lucuma. Okay. The protein, niacin, it's pretty good. Okay. You have here phosphorus, potassium, not outstanding, but certainly a lot better than apples, okay? All right. So I keep beating apples, you know, I keep beating apples, okay. Okay. But you're gonna turn that away if they put it in front of you, something like that, and that's what they make. People get very inventive about using fruits and so on. It really, I've had the fruit directly, the flesh directly. It's really not that, you know, but when they cook it and they make ice cream, it's outstanding, really outstanding. Yeah. You can get it from the web, by the way, it's available. If you want to taste what lucuma tastes like. Okay. So we'll stop here. Yeah, I have another one, but we're going to have to wait for that. And I'm sorry I didn't stop midway. Am I midway or where am I? We got a little more time? Okay. Let's take about 5 minutes and I'll begin with another one. Okay? Yeah. I've done this what I should have begun. I should have begun with bananas, but I didn't.
Rod, you haven't mentioned the role that ancient astronauts may have played in some of this stuff. There's a book on that.
Yeah, oh yeah. They brought bananas for that, okay. Anyway, I call it the big Musa. Well, Musa is the genus term. It's very broad, okay? And I can tell you, yes, we do have bananas today. Lots of it. And that's what I'm going to talk about. Bananas is the original fruit. From the caves and so on, probably the first fruit that was globalized, was bananas. Hear me out, okay? Okay, we're going to take a trip, okay? All right. The first global fruit. Yeah.
I don't think your microphone is working.
Now it is.
Is it? Hello?
Low, it's too low. It's a little bit higher.
Hello?
Move it up so it's.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Saying boot. Okay. How about now? Okay? He kept moving down. All right. So I call it the big Musa. This was the first global fruit. And I'm not alone in thinking that way. Most people agree that we always had bananas. That is, after we began to get out of the caves and whatever we were, okay? So if you think of the first fruit, It's bananas, and it went all over the world, okay? Look at this. 10,000 years ago, we had bananas. Humans were eating bananas. First bananas thought they grown in the region, include Malay, Indonesia, Philippines, that's Southeast and New Guinea, Southeast Asian, the New Guinea part, Indonesia included. Traders and travelers took them to India, Africa, Polynesia, okay? When we said Polynesia, we got to be serious. These guys took a lot of things. They moved from somewhere in Taiwan, some say further south. Anyway, there was a movement to colonize what essentially was an empty area of the world. Those islands had nobody there. So these people came and started moving this way. And of course, this is very attractive. When you come in from southern China, or even then was heavily populated, and you come to an area where these islands are beautiful and nobody's there. Okay, well, let's settle here, okay? Something like that. Micronesia, we divided in Polynesia, different groups came. It wasn't something that all of them came, no, there was different waves, and consequently, there are differences among these people, okay? There was certainly, when they got there, okay, bananas, okay, and breadfruit and coconuts, they expanded. They started distributing across, and their influence reached all the way to Madagascar and to Easter Island, okay? They were superb, I already mentioned it. This is really something not paid attention to by a lot of historians that don't seem to know much about sailing and navigation, okay? So I'm going to talk to bananas, but first I got to talk about breadfruit, because without the breadfruit, we got no boats. No boats, okay? And here's the breadfruit, okay? Kind of nice, all right? And mature, you split it up, and this is supposed to be very, very good, but you must know how to cook it. It's one that it's essential that you develop a way of cooking it, because when you open it, it's ripe, and you taste it, you're not gonna like it, okay? But look, it's got everything, all across, okay? Nutritionally, very good. Look at that, and potassium, so forth. So the profile is, as a whole, it's a very good fruit to have. In other words, if you're going to take something with you, you know, as you're navigating, as you're going to another place, you should consider this one, and they did. Okay. This doesn't show, but it's a table comparing the value, nutritional value of breadfruit with white potato and white rice. No contest at all, no contest at all. Okay? You know, we covered slavery, remember? Okay? How can you forget it? So, the English and others, but mostly the English, were settling the Antilles and setting up sugarcane plantations, okay? But their biggest problem wasn't growing the sugarcane, was feeding the slaves that did the work in the sugar canes. Now, the slaves were supposed to be cutting cane, not producing food. And to produce food, they would have to take the slave off the sugar cane and put it to produce food. They lose money. So they were looking and looking. We need to have something to feed the slaves. Okay? So you know, the bounty. Okay. So they said, a most useful tree with a wonderful and perfect fruit, exactly what was needed to feed the slaves in the Caribbean sugar plantation. How did the English know about the breadfruit? James Cook had stopped in Tahiti, and that was part of his report. This was an excellent fruit to have to feed people. So the bounty is commissioned under this guy, the infamous William Bligh. As it turned out, he was not that infamous, but anyway, let's just leave it there. Go over there and bring, get the breadfruit seedlings and bring them over to the Caribbean. What? Fine. He went this way. Remember, there was almost nothing known about this area of the world. There were no charts or anything, so they were guessing, and they figured out, well, if we go far south enough, it wound up in Tahiti. Apparently, things aboard were not nice. That was generally true of sailing ships. They didn't treat sailors very nice, okay? But the guy made a mistake. Let's have them frolic around for a while, So this is not Tahiti, but it's close enough. And then they will calm down. He was having trouble with discipline, okay? All the sailors loved it. He stayed a whole month over there, okay? Well, it was time to leave. Okay. You get this kind of thing? Okay. We're not leaving. We are not going to go back to England. And we're not going to go in your ship because you treat us bad and so on. So get. Okay. So they put him out. They took Captain Bligh and I believe 18 crew members that decided to go back to England. And this man, Bligh, if you know anything about navigation, in an open boat, okay, in uncharted waters, okay, took these people all the way from Tahiti to Java. It's an incredible feat of navigation. The man was great, okay? Maybe nothing else, but a navigator he was. Okay, goodbye to the breadfruit. Didn't make it, okay.
Some of them went to Pitcairn Island.
I'm sorry?
Some of them went to Pitcairn Island instead of.
Yep. Okay. Of course, this generated back in the 1930s, a trilogy was published about the mutiny on the Bounty and so forth, and there were movies made, okay. They had actors and actresses that, in my opinion, were not the normal Tahitian that they found, but that didn't matter for the movies. The only thing I can tell you is, I think this is the last one they made, and the best one was the first one. And then they went down, there was 3 of them made, they went down in quality, okay? The best one was this one, Clark Gable, and so forth. And the middle one was Marlon Brando, okay? Anyway, that's just as a footnote. It's got to do with breadfruit. I mentioned the breadfruit was essential to the Polynesians because it produces a very sturdy yet light wood. And that is what they use to make their catamarans. the concept of this was Polynesian, okay? Nobody else before them had thought of, well, we'll put a stabilizer floater on the side. And in the end, this grew. And it got big, see? This is a modern version. Hawaiians made it. They said it was following strictly what they knew about the original catamarans, okay? Notice too, the sails, okay? At one point, and you can move them around easily to accommodate the winds, however they come. So the European version, you know, Lord, you had to take all the square sails down, and you had to have Latin sails and all of that, very complicated. With a few people, you could do a lot of navigating. They knew the stars well, they knew the currents well, they even could sense, I read, the proximity of land out in the blue sea just by feeling reverberations that the waves will have against the land and come back. So they were that skilled. Okay? Bananas. Okay. Bananas grow everywhere. And you see them here, see them there in the wild, okay? In there, okay? Varieties, okay? I forget to mention to you an irony. The English did send several other expeditions, and in the end they did get the breadfruit planted in the Caribbean. The slaves didn't like it, and they never ate it. So that's, anyway, back to bananas. I said it was a big musa, and you see why. Different colors, shapes, okay? Here is the apple banana, one like that. You can get them in the market. Occasionally you see them. They're not your regular bananas. These are apple bananas. Notice that they are shorter and fatter, and they don't have that curve that you expect of the Cavendish bananas, okay? Okay. Guess who got to them first? Okay. Our cousins like bananas too. The center of origin is where you have the greatest genetic variation, okay? And there are all these species of bananas. That's why I said the big musa. That's what it is. And people, the original ones were this, just a little bitty finger like that, okay? By crossing, so forth, they lengthen it, they fatten it. There were references to one in 600 BC, Buddhist monks, okay? Alexander, big Alex, he ran across bananas, okay? So, okay. 200 AD, went to China. And in China, it really was limited to the southern part of it, because that's really where you can grow it naturally without problems. But never did make a big impact for the Chinese. The bananas as we know them were developed in Africa. Recall when I showed you how the Polynesians and others expanded the banana and took them to East Africa. Then it went across in a diagonal to the Guinea coast. And that, by then it had grown into what we know as a banana. We're talking about hundreds of years, mixing and looking for the bigger and bigger bananas. So what happens, you have bananas of different sizes, and because the intermediates remain, okay, and tastes So they went from here, they went to there, and then across. Nothing like this is documented, but we do have, DNA analysis, and it has been done, and it links this thought that from here, they went here, the Portuguese found it as big bananas first. When they were coming down Africa, they ran across bananas. Arabian slave gave the banana its popular name. South they were nuts. They were small, about the length of an adult finger. Banana, which in Arabic means finger. Okay. In Spanish, the Spanish thought that the leaves somehow, it escapes me, looked like the sycamore, platinum. So they called it platinum. I don't know how you can confuse a sycamore leaf with, but they did. Anyway, name plantains. Okay. This is diffusion through the Muslim world, pre-Islamic time, and probably during Islamic times. Okay. Portuguese, as I mentioned, they discovered them. They were grown in the Canary Islands that far back. And between the 1608, suckers were traded to the Americas, and the plantations in the Americas began. Okay. The wild banana here. Okay. Has seeds. Many of the ornamental bananas that we grow around town, they have seeds. So it was a race to get rid of the seeds. Okay. Plantains and avocado. Okay. This is wild bananas. Okay. With the seeds, and what it took to go from here to here. Okay, that was done in Africa. That was done in Africa. Okay. There you go. Today we have this many varieties, cultivars. We have sweet or dessert bananas. We have cooking bananas. Okay, and then we have textile bananas. Okay, the Manila hemp. Okay, although the sweet bananas had two groups, big, tall ones, like that, and then ones that are a little more manageable in height, okay? This used to be exclusively the banana that was supplied up to the late 1940s to the American and European market. But what happened? Here's some big bunches. Okay. 1950s, because remember what I said? You get into monoculture and plantation, then you ask for it. A fungus came, wiped them out. I mean, wiped out. To the point that today, if you want to eat some Gros Michel banana, you're going to have trouble finding one. See, on top of the problem that you have to cut the stem to bring down the bunch so that you can cut it and carry it, that produces this. This guy's not happy, okay? Not happy. So we have Cavendish, plantains, red, Niño, manzana. Those are the common types, and you find them in the market. When well managed, you can intercrop bananas with papaya or with rice, okay? This guy does it with everything, okay? And you can even get into agroforestry. when you mix forestry in the production of bananas. All right. This is from my farm. Okay, over there, there. This is the island, and this is where I am. It's a little bananas all over there, okay? Yeah, see all bananas, okay. This is the town where I spent my teenage years, okay? And over here, right there, that's the house I have there, okay? So I know about bananas, okay? I don't know about anything else. Bananas I know, okay?
And this is in Cuba?
You think this is the Incas? No. That's part of my farm. Look at that. Incredible. Okay? Yeah, I'll go quickly. Anyway, banana is easy. You get a sucker, you plant it, and it grows, okay? Yeah. This will go very, very quickly. Here is a banana flower being born. Then you go to that, and to that, and to that, and to that, that. Yeah. See? And he has this flower prop. You must take that manually, because if you don't, some bacteria will come and develop there and ruin the banana, okay? So there's a lot of labor involved, not as bad as other crops, but look like that. Okay. And you see that's the mother plant, and this, you only leave one. The tendency is to have many. That's a mistake. You want the mother plant and one sucker plant coming. Okay. There you go. There. Yes. Okay. And it's ecological. Okay. It's ecological. People say, I mean, how do you control pests? They say there are none. There are none. Okay. You harvest, go there, take it to your cooperative, they come, they process it, cut it up. This is soap, a detergent. Yeah, what a detergent, nothing else is used. Classified, this is second class. This is okay. First class, stacked and shipped. Okay, and that's a sunset. Okay, and that's the town, okay? And that's a museum of bananas. You want to know about bananas, you go over there and they teach you all about it, okay? That's part of my farm. Yeah. Over 100 years in continuous commercial production. How it is done? Organic matter. Put plenty of it, nothing else. So this is one case. You have a monoculture, but you have a system that allows you to continue production. And we're going to leave it there because it's time to, okay. And we'll continue. There's a little more about bananas in terms of world value, marketing, and so forth. But we'll have to deal with that next week, okay? Thank you very much.